This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everybody. I am hearing that since COVID has passed us by, that more and more people are opting to build a home as opposed to buying an existing home or making renovations. And for that, you need a professional. You need somebody that's going to give you the plans, the design, that's going to support you and your family over many years. And I found that person for you. In fact, he is an award-winning home designer. We're going to talk with him about the custom designs he does and so much more. John Hattie joins us on the program today. How are you?
Not bad at all, Steve.
Yeah, great to have you along here. Over my years, I've had a few homes built, and I'm going to say very transparently, should have planned it out better. Really mean that. Should have planned it out better.
That's where a lot of people fail themselves. They don't put enough planning in up front. And how many times have you heard people say a year after they've lived in the house, if I was doing this again, I would change this? I've had people 28 and 30 years after they've built their home that have come up to me at the home show and they've made comments like this. John, I've been in the house 28 years and there's still nothing I want to change. And then after that, they also go on and say, I still get people coming into the house, walking through the front door and their jaw is dropping and they're going, wow, this is nice. That's the difference between custom designing and doing something either just drafted up or doing something where people do it sometimes themselves, or they just buy something out of a magazine because you miss things.
And it's those little things, and I can only speak from my experience, the things that I've done with the help of others is okay. But those little custom nuances that you might forget about, where somebody like yourself with 3 decades plus experience are going to bring up and say, hey, you know what, you might want to consider putting this over there or changing the configuration of this because it's better for, the bathroom or whatever it might be. I guess it starts with a conversation, right? Learning what their goals are, what their use of the home is going to be, right?
Partly. Okay. So first of all, I've been 48, 49 years in the industry. So
I did say 3 decades. 3 decades plus. Wow.
So that's number one. Number two, where most people blow it, if you're truly just custom designing a land, or custom designing a home, you've always got to see the land. Any designer that doesn't go to the land is going to miss stuff. Like when I go to the land, I'll see exactly where the view planes are, exactly where the sun is, any hour of the day. So once I've established true south, I can establish that and work with it, and I can pull that into your house any hour of the day, any time of the year, because I'll know where it is. Okay, that's number one. Then also, it also shows me other things like in Atlantic Canada here, we have a problem with major windstorms off the ocean and stuff like that, which is a problem for us. So I've got to watch where those negative winds are coming in, this wind-driven summer rains and things like this. So those are all items that come into play. So once I've established the slope of the land, the orientation, where the view planes are, how the land slopes, and where negative and positive features are, where the services are coming from, where might the driveway come from. There's hundreds of items that have to be established about that land. Well, maybe not hundreds, but say 20 or more. So once we've done that, I design differently than other people. I'm kind of unique in this industry. I go back to your kitchen table where I designed right in front of you in a sketch format that allows me to create that house design for you. So the whole time I'm designing, I'm not telling you what to do. I refuse to do that. I'll give you options. I'll show you options. And it's funny, one line I use a lot is if I was doing this, I would do this and why. And I'll give you always having a reason attached for it. And there's not one way to build a house. There's thousands of ways to build a house. There's thousands of products out there to build with. All this type of stuff affects what we build and how we build it.
And there's so much involved. I mean, even down to the R factor within the insulation. Oh, it's right.
And our factor up here is really going up. Like they're trying to get to net zero by 2030.
Wow.
all houses, which means they'll ultimately have to be pressure tested, all this type of stuff. That's the only way you're going to get there. And or leakage test is what I'm referring to, and stuff like that. That's going to be probably mandatory in another 5 years.
How do you keep up with all the changes? There's got to be, even building codes, and you're in Nova Scotia, right?
Yes.
You know, it's not unlike any other municipality. It's always changing, I got to believe, right?
Well, we're affected by several different things. Building codes, which is we run by the National Building Code, but then we have the Nova Scotia Building Code that stipulates a few, like our accessibility requirements here in Nova Scotia are stronger than probably most places in Canada. Our insulation levels have come way up based on the National Building Code. So yes, you have to be responsive, receptive to that and flow with it. So to answer your question that you asked me originally, how do we keep up with it? Education, education, and more education. So in our situation, we have a Home Designers Association. It's 30 years old this fall. And I was actually the founding president of it 30 years ago. And I was heavily involved in it for about 25 years, still involved, and I still do some training, stuff like that. But that's the way you do it. You have to stay on top of things. And it's a lot easier when you've got a network that you can tie into, such as the Home Designers Association. So it's the Nova Scotia Home and Building Designers Association is what it's called. And it's a really good tool. And we do a lot of networking with each other. We troubleshoot things with each other. We're finding solutions to problems, this type of thing. So it's a good cause.
Let's look at some of the changes that have happened over the years. Like if you just went back maybe 15 years, maybe 20, what's different requests that people are making? Obviously I'm going to guess that the open concept is one that, trended, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, and then people still asking for it. What do you think?
Actually, open concept probably happened about 20 to 25 years ago. People started swinging that way. We used to modularize our houses 40 years ago. Okay. We used to have mom in the kitchen, dad in the living room. They couldn't talk to each other because there were walls in between, stuff like that. People don't like that. Okay. So probably 25, even 30 years ago, there was a trend. When I first started my company 41 years ago, it was just starting then to open up. People were starting to want open space concept. They hadn't jumped into it yet, but they were starting to want it. Over the 15 years following, it's been a major swing. And probably for the last 25 years, it's been strong. And I don't see it going away. Now, if people are affected by noise, yes, they will want a closed-in design. And I do occasionally get that. If people, like most people, when they're looking for a house design, they want a nice, vibrant living space. How do you do that? Open space is part of it. Bringing in the light is another part of it. So first thing in the morning, when you get up and walk down that kitchen eating area, there you are. You're getting your chest comes out. It feels good to be alive. That's what we're looking for. That's the little things that make the huge differences in housing. But everybody needs privacy somewhere in the house. So that's where you look at maybe the den or maybe something like this for if you want to sneak away and make a phone call or something like that. That's where those things come in. So it all comes down to combination needs and requirements, ideas. The hardest one of all is budget. Okay. Because budget's crazy, and ever since COVID, nobody knows where in the hell they are. Even contractors don't know where they are anymore until they price it up. So there's always stuff like that that's affecting us on an ongoing basis.
Wow. I am hearing that because the family dynamics are changing, 20-something-year-olds are moving back into the house, and it's that the open concept may be kind of fading away a little bit to give everybody their own little space, if you know what I'm saying. Where you might not have had a wall, you might be putting up a wall there.
No, I would disagree with that. I'm where I do see it happening, and I've got a situation here in my own home. My stepson lives with us. Okay, he's a computer buff. He helped me out actually getting my video going on this last night. But what I'm trying to say, he has an apartment basically downstairs in the lower level. We do see them quite often or once in a while, but
Mhm.
there is that togetherness, but there's still that separation.
Yep.
So on my main floor of my house or my own home, I've got an open space concept where I've removed walls or opened up a wall so I can see through. I'm the cook in the house. So when I'm cooking in the kitchen. I want to feel connected to my wife in the living room, which is the other side of the wall. So the wall's gone or the wall is opened up. Nice open space concept that I can feel, talk to her, connect to her, listen to her, this type of stuff.
What does it feel like when you design a home for someone? It gets built, and you're essentially starting a new phase in somebody's life. Like there's a big
Oh, yeah.
responsibility there. What's that all feel like?
I'll answer that in a different way. When I get to see a customer's home, or which is hard to do sometimes because I've done about 4,000 homes, 3,800 to 4,000 custom designs. And as a result of it, it's sometimes if it's in a weird and wonderful location, sometimes it might take me 3 to 5 years. And there's some homes I've never seen completed
Wow.
just because of location. But when I go to that house and I'm knocking on the door and the customer, their eyes are gleaming and they're dancing and they can't wait to show me through the house. It's probably the best reward I can ever get. I've won 17 of my home designs have won design awards, but that smile on that face is more important to me than any award ever going, because that means that as a designer, I did what I'm supposed to do and I did it right.
Mm, yeah, and it resonated with them.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
oh yeah, and they're living with that connection forever. And people can't wait to come up to the home show. I'm not doing as many home shows anymore. I did one this year, but haven't done one for a couple of years. But people can't wait to come up and tell me how much they love their houses, and that's one thing that I get repetitively, and that's what I'm after. I don't, words are nice, but they're. I got one behind me on my shelf, or two couple of them behind me on the shelf, but they're just an award. When you make people happy in their home environments, that's a huge difference. And that's taking care of the little things. It's just like I tell people all the time, it's not big things that affect people in housing. It's little things. It's no different than you leaving the cap off the toothpaste. It might not be a big deal, but it can really tick somebody off. Especially wives.
Mhm.
So in a house design, it's the little things. Like it's not going around a corner that you shouldn't have to go around, or the door swings the wrong way. So when that door opens, you're always walking around it or into it. It's little things like that create interesting scenarios. And I tell people point blank, it's the piss off factor, if I can use that language. But it's the little things that really, really, really tick people off. Most people can get 80% to 85% of their houses designed without me. Okay. No, you'd be okay with it. It would be an okay home. But it's the little things that make the difference, where people are excited. Like one of my neighbors just up the street, when I moved into this community 25 years ago, one of the first customers I had in this local area was my neighbor two houses up the street, three houses up the street. And the comment Joan has made to me on many, many times, Joan and Carl, and they're one of my references on my website. And one thing she said to me on a regular basis, she says, it doesn't matter where I am in the home, I can see the snow falling. I can see the sun gleaming in those windows. I can watch people walk up and down the sidewalk. They're sidewalk watchers, and they've loved their little veranda I put on the west side of their home, where they'll go out. They got a little bench seat there, and they'll go out and sit together and drink a glass of wine. That's the little things that make them happy when they're here at their home. I also designed their cottage up at Lake Mush, and that's another story. But they're when they're home here at their house, they love being able to live in their home and feel connected to the world around them. And that's one thing. So they can flow to their pool, they can flow to their deck. It's all traffic flow, it's all light, it's all that stuff. It's that site inspection that makes the difference, whether it's a new home design or a renovation.
And those little things always stick with us. Like as we're talking right now, John, I'm thinking back to homes, whether it was already designed when I went in or it was a fresh design. And I'm thinking of the kitchen where there was one drawer that pulls out that hits a door.
Yep.
How do you let that go? Whoever designed that, and that was an existing design, but that same house had put a an extension on it, and it was pretty big, like a 40 foot. It was substantial, and I want a lot of windows. And the designer gave me that up to the point of the R factor because every time you use a window, it changes everything. I had a lot of light. It was great. However, I didn't realize that there were also these huge Italian tiles on the floor in the winter. That room was a refrigerator.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
should have thought of it differently in terms of the way the heat was delivered, or maybe radiant heat in that flooring or something like that, because it was almost, you couldn't even use the room in the winter, or you had to open the French doors to let the heat in. But that kind of, there was an office in there. It kind of changed the whole thing because you wanted privacy. So you don't know those things, so you think of them, but those little things you never forget, the little sticky things. So, like you said, that just kind of gnaw at you, and that's why I guess you need to talk this stuff out and plan it.
So when I first moved into this community, I was actually renting. I'd gone through my first divorce, and I was looking for a place to live. My girlfriend of the day found the place for me, so I moved in, and I was renting it at first. 3 years later, I ended up buying the place. I like the community. I like the people around here. That's half of it, and that's where renovation can sometimes win over new house design. If you love your community, why move? Renovate your house if it's in an area that's got good potential. This area has decent potential. So I renovated the house. I had one of those kitchens you're talking about. My basement door bumped into my 4 foot counter, which had the kitchen sink in it. Then there was a space between that, and there was a little opening that went through to my dining room. And then there was a little L-shaped counter with about 4 or 5 feet long. And my stove was on the other side. My refrigerator was another location totally. And it was a terrible, terrible kitchen.
Mm.
So I've now just relocated my traffic flow to my dining room. Got a little kitchen bar area, actually my bar there. And then I've got my kitchen. Then I have a beautiful J-shaped kitchen, which has work area, stove, work area, sink, refrigerator coming around the return of the J. And it works fantastic.
Mm.
And my traffic flow, as much as I did add on to my kitchen. I added on about 9 feet. I jogged out and I created a bay window effect. The bay window looks out into my gardens. So it doesn't matter if I'm doing it for myself or somebody else. I'm going to take the same process. And I always do plans for myself. Like everybody says, oh, you don't need to do, you know what you're doing. No, I don't. I'm learning as I go, and learning as you go is seeing it on paper sometimes, because paper will show you things that a conversation doesn't show you. So that's why I'm always sketching, always designing with people and going that way. So no, but I put a bay window around my kitchen windows, around my kitchen sink. I got a bay window so I can see what used to be a pool. My pool's coming out. My kids are gone, so the pool's not getting used. It's decommissioned, it's coming out. But I can see out into my garden and look over towards my utility shed where my motorcycle is, stuff like that, and whatnot. So it is the little things, and it is getting rid of the little issues that are in everybody's homes. If you can remove traffic flow issues, light issues, issues that affect your usability of that space, you're going to be 10 times happier with that house. That's why I love designing in front of my clients. If you design in your office, I can't get as much personal information from you because I'm in my office. If I'm designing with you in front of you, I'm not just listening to what you say. I'm also watching your eyes, and I'm watching the grins and the frowns on your faces all the time, because sometimes they'll tell me more than what your mouth does. So as a result of it, I'm not afraid to ask a question. Well, what's bugging you? Why suddenly the frown on your face? What don't you like? And it will come out. It might take a few minutes, but it will come out. And then once it gets out, then I can handle it 99% of the time.
Mm. You're like a therapist as well.
Couldn't keep two marriages together.
Well, okay. You know, it's funny. I was as you said that, I was going to say you're a therapist and a mediator, because I can't imagine some of the times where you're working with a couple and one wants one thing, one wants the other. You got to kind of meet them in between and kind of massage the situation. So I give you a lot of credit for that.
That can get very interesting at times
Yeah.
because I had one situation. I don't like designing without the wife. I'll design without the husband because his needs are usually less than. But in
Mm,
this particular case, he was a Mr. Mum. He had been working in the investment industry, and he lost his job 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when our industry went flat here, and there was a lot of stock market people and investment people that were out of business. He was one of them. So this gentleman was staying at home with his young daughter, being Mr. Mum. So when we came to do the design, I said, "Well, when is your wife available?" "Well, she's a pharmacist, and she's not currently available. She works a lot." Well, I said, "Okay." I said, "I'd really prefer to have her there." "No, we can do it without her."
mm.
"Okay, you're the boss, you're the customer." So we started doing it, and we got into the kitchen, and we started talking about the kitchen. And he said, "Oh, I know exactly what she wants." Mistake number two. Okay, so we gave him exactly what he thought they wanted. She walked in at supper time around 6 o'clock, something like that. Took one look at it and blew up, and it got hot. Oh my God, it got hot. And that was one of those moments I wish like hell I was down the road 10 miles.
Yeah.
But that's rare. I mean, it normally doesn't get to an explosive situation, but in this particular couple, it was an explosive situation. But I did resolve it. I brought them back. I said, "Okay, now what don't you like about it? And then I knew what he liked because he very bluntly told me. So then now let's find that happy medium. And that's what you've got to do sometimes. You've got to find a happy medium. And that's just like you're saying. You're trying to find that halfway point
Mm.
that both can accept it. Because people are different.
People are, yeah, absolutely. And I love what you said, where you just read their face and you can pick up on it right away. And sometimes they're not even sure of what they want in terms of verbalizing it, but the face doesn't lie,
No, it doesn't.
seems like you're a good reader of that. Can you design for anybody anywhere? Like, let's say somebody's in the United States, they're watching this or listening to this, and they say, I like this guy. Can
No, probably not the United States, especially with what Mr. Trump is doing now to the industry. I did have one customer. I've had multiple customers from the States that have built here in Nova Scotia, but they've been usually their summer homes or something like that here in Nova Scotia, or retirement homes. They're moving back to Nova Scotia or something like that. I
Gotcha.
had one gentleman down in Washington, D.C. He came up here. I went to meet him. I ended up in the ditch on a slushy winter road, and we didn't get to meet. So he flew me down to there. Even crossing the border, then they challenged me on my why am I coming down there? What am I doing? And that was 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. It's more difficult now. So I'm probably going to answer your question. I probably wouldn't touch it.
Gotcha.
I would love to, but I probably wouldn't touch it. Even in Ontario, Canada, I have a problem with because they have a certain specification that you need. There was some terrible product about 20 years ago. There was some terrible product being put out in the market. And to tighten it up, they started making people take training, get certified. So you have to have a certification number there. I don't have to have that here, but up there they do. I don't have that number, so I can't design. I might be able to buy one, but you have someone review my plans and do it that way. But it's sometimes just easier to say, no, I can't do it.
Yep, totally get it. Well, what's the best way to find you if somebody is in the Nova Scotia metro area and surrounding areas? How do we find you?
Okay, first of all, I'll design basically wherever people want to pay me to go. So I do some work up in New Brunswick, PEI. I have done projects in Newfoundland. So Atlantic Canada is predominantly my area, and Nova Scotia is my strongest. Okay, I probably do 80%, 90% of my work here in Nova Scotia. So the easiest way to get me is through my email, financial.atlhme@gmail.com, or my phone number, 902-456-0279, or you can find me on Google under Atlantic Home Designs Limit. And I actually have probably my better sample pictures on that website than anything else. So you can find me on Google.
A lot of great pictures on your main site, and I would love to talk some maybe into talk a little deeper into some of those products next time we get together. John, thank you so much for today. A whole different view I have of the home design when it's somebody like yourself that really pays attention, really cares, and takes it to heart. Now I get what the word custom means in custom home design.
Oh,
Really
that's
appreciate
true
it.
custom. Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Looking forward next time we get together.
Okay, my pleasure. Great talking to you, Steve.
You too. We'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.